First, sketch your design on paper. Secure your drawing to your polyblock using masking tape. Trace over your pencil lines with a ballpoint pen to transfer them onto the polyblock. Press firmly to leave an indentation in the polyblock, but be careful not to push too hard. You don't want to break the polyblock as it is quite fragile. Use a ballpoint pen and draw the image on your polyblock. Set up your printing area in an organized way and try to keep the ink in one place. Put enough ink onto your ink palette near the top edge. The ink should be the same width as your ink roller. This is your ink reservoir for dipping the roller into when you need more ink. Dip the roller into the ink reservoir and start rolling it out in the space below. Move the ink roller forward with slight downward pressure, then lift it back to the start and repeat. This will spread the ink faster than just going back and forth. Once the ink is evenly spread on the roller, look to see if you have the right amount of ink. If there is too much ink on the roller, it will take on an orange peel texture. There should be a slight texture to the ink, like sandpaper. If there's too much ink, remove the excess using a piece of paper. Once your roller has an even layer of ink, transfer it onto your polyblock. Roll in different directions to cover all corners. Recharge the roller with more ink if needed. Take your printing paper and place it on top of your template. They should make a clicking sound as they go into place. Hold the paper so it doesn't move and rub over the back of the block with your clean ink roller. You will need to press quite hard to transfer the ink, but not so hard that you break the polyblock. Check your progress by lifting the paper. Hold the polyblock still with one hand and pull the paper away with the other. By pulling the paper away from the block and not the other way around, you are less likely to break your block. Use a small ink roller to focus on any areas that aren't printing correctly. Keep applying thin layers of ink to your block to add layers and build up a more solid block of colour. A relief print can be produced from any material that has a raised surface, flat enough to hold ink, and strong enough to endure the pressure necessary to transfer the inked image onto the surface. Since this is a reduction print, I started with the lightest colour first, which was pink. Next, I printed the dark red layer. To keep the areas I printed pink from being printed dark red, I carved out the areas I wanted to remain pink. You don't need to make the deepest of marks because the brayer will only ink the top surface of the polyblock that you have left untouched. Wipe away any stray ink from the non-printing areas of the polyblock with a dry piece of material. It should stop the ink from transferring to the paper when you print. The areas of stray ink are called chattering. Chattering refers to unwanted areas of texture. Removing chattering can take a bit of time and patience. The results are worth it for a cleaner print. The darker colour covers part of the lighter coloured print. Hold the polyblock still with one hand and pull the paper away with the other. By pulling the paper away from the block and not the other way around, you are less likely to break your block. Here is my final outcome.